Hi, Intuitive viewers. Thank you for coming today.
Hey.
I'm excited. Danny Shea is here.
Me too.
From Bathrobe Tarot. So it's
Thank
Danny Shea
you.
from Bathrobe Tarot. And now, Danny, what do you call yourself? Do you say you're an intuitive, a psychic, just tarot reader? What do you go? What do you?
Some old guy in the bathroom.
Okay.
I think that's what Scott called me. The old guy in the bathroom. No, I'm an intuitive tarot reader. That's
okay.
If you would put a label on it, I guess that's where I am in this journey right now.
Okay. And we're going to talk about kind of the full journey, because we were just, kind of saying that it doesn't really stop with one thing. It keeps progressing and keeps going.
Right.
So, but let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Very good place.
So you kind of talked about age 8, imaginary friend, that you're kind of putting together later. You kind of put together later on that this could have been a guide or a spirit, something else that wasn't really an imaginary friend. I also had an imaginary friend. And could you talk a little bit about that? But also, was it a really, for me, it was such a vivid picture of this person. I could see, everything was in detail. So tell us about that.
Well, and I agree. It was, we would be walking down the street together, into the neighborhood, and he was always there. And I can't remember the name. It'll come. But I do remember when my mom or some other adult said, "You're too old to have imaginary friends." And that was kind of a shock. I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not." "No, you are." And so you hear that enough time, and I want to be a grown up. So the imaginary friend kind of faded off. And I think that's just a shame that people don't, embrace that more and allow you to have that. So, but yeah, for probably up until 8 or something. I'm not really sure, but that was my constant companion. It was great. We got into a lot of trouble. It's all his fault.
Right. It's all his fault. Exactly. And then you kind of, you started kind of exploring some of this stuff. And that's why I'm kind of interested in where this begins for a lot of people, because some people, it starts in childhood and they kind of have one experience, and then it will kind of go, kind of be gone for a while. And then other things will start to pull you in again. And that's kind of what happened to you, it sounds like, because a little bit later. So tell us about the iguanas.
Oh, okay. Just real short. My wife and I ended up rescuing iguanas. So that was during Jurassic Park, when everybody wanted to get cute little dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs grew up to be 5 foot, beautiful creatures. And they would get out, and people would call us up, because my wife does rehab a lot for animals. And we were kind of known as the Iguana Rescue people. And so these people would call us up, say, our iguana got out. What do we do? And we would go over and would look around, and I'd stand out in the backyard, and I'd just kind of get real quiet and find the iguana. Sorry, hang on one second.
That's okay.
So I would, it would be more of, and I didn't really know where this was going or what I was doing. I was just getting really quiet and tapping into the iguana's sphere, and finding out, where he is up in this tree. And the tree could be, 150 feet tall. And I would somehow hear it, but it didn't move. Nobody else could hear it, but it was pretty loud. I go, you didn't
Right.
hear it move? No. Okay. So then we would say, go get it. Call the fire department or something.
Right. Well, and that's, it's interesting because, well, what, when you have an experience like that where you're able to do something that other people clearly are not as sensitive to, what does that feel like? Do you feel like you were feeling them in some way? Do you feel like it was mostly just you were just such a good listener that you could just hear them, and you picked up on their movements? I mean, was it
Yeah,
more internal or external that you were picking up on them?
it was a little bit of both, but
Mhm,
at that time it was auditory. So I could hear them, but I
mhm,
think the really key part of that for me was I just knew that I was going to find them. So it wasn't about um, having doubt that I was going
mhm,
to find them. I just knew I was going to find them. And when I used to do salvage diving work, people would lose things in murky water, and I'd go down, I would find it. And they'd go, how'd you find that? And I go, well, I just knew I would, and I
mhm.
didn't give up. So I just kept at it. So
So that's interesting because it sounds like there's even a little bit of intention and manifesting a little bit, because you're
yeah,
so
I
sure you're going to
think,
find it. You have that intention of like, I'm going to find it,
right.
and it's
Yes.
mixed in with those other sensitivities that you have to
I,
finding
I,
things.
I think, yeah. And, a lot of times, um, correct, with the intention, being really clear in your intention, which for me it's super hard because sometimes I just get so scattered. But if the focus is really clear and my intention is really clear, and I get really quiet, then it just happens. So
Right.
it's kind of fun.
That is really fun. Yeah. And it's also something that I'm not great at. I'm not great at finding people's things, because every once in a while they'll say, I lost this or I lost that. And I'm just not that good at it. I could find living things. I found like a cat one time, like told them where
Yeah,
it was and it was okay. But
right,
inanimate objects I have a harder time, and so I've been kind of experimenting with psychometry to get better at it, to get more sensitive to it. And
right.
you do psychometry as well, right?
I did. So this goes back to in my journey with this. When I was in Los Angeles, so from when I was like 10 to about 25, 30, I just kind of let it go. I was doing my thing. I was working. I was going to school, whatever. I just didn't deal with it. My mom played around with it a little bit, just, I
Mhm.
mean, like that. So it wasn't like, don't ever touch cards. She goes,
Right,
oh yeah, my grandfather used to believe in that. Oh yeah. So the door was kind of opened a little bit. So
right.
when I moved to LA, a friend of mine, she was very into metaphysics, and she got me into a tarot card, and she got me my first deck, and then um, we would go to certain classes, and one of the classes was grab somebody's picture and talk about what it had, hold on to an object, and
Mhm.
and it was, I was pretty good with it, but I let it go. I didn't continue with it.
Right.
And um so, that's something that I want to, because of you, because I'm writing this stuff down and going, how did this
Well,
journey
when did I do
happen?
that?
I go, I need to start picking that up again.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so it's just a progression of things, is how they move on, and what you keep and what you let go of. So
Right. So that kind of brings us to the next kind of big thing that I guess happens to you that kind of opens you up spiritually. And I was saying before we got on that when I talked to Scott, he talked about going through a divorce, and that really kind of rocked his world, and it really
Right.
it just opened him up. And I had the same thing with the death and of my dad that kind of opened me up spiritually in just a different way. Can you
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that and kind of what happened?
Well, and I was mentioning to you that I did not have a near-death experience.
Hmm.
It was just I was put in a position where a family member got really, really sick and was in the hospital for 2 months, and I was part of the executor, the administrator, while she was incapacitated and couldn't
Oh,
move. And there
right.
was another person that was in charge of the medical stuff. And so we had to work together. And it was it was more than difficult, more
Right.
than hard. I mean, they were threatening me, my family. I mean, I didn't know how to deal with any of this. So I
Right.
have, on one hand, a close family member that I had to take care of, and
Hmm.
somebody else that was trying to threatening to kill my other family members. And, it was
Oh my
just,
gosh.
we were
Yeah.
just getting pulled apart.
Right.
And I remember, just like being so stressed out when I had to go there and when I had to leave because it was in a different city. So we're flying back and forth. And when
Hmm.
I left, I was like, oh my God, thank God I'm out of there. But then I would feel bad because another family member was in there with
Right.
this just awful, awful energy. And I remember taking a lot of naps at the time. and
Uh-huh.
and when I was taking naps, I would be listening to meditation tapes. And there was one that I would just listen to just about healing and letting go and healing and letting go. And um, that's when I started picking up the cards again.
Hmm.
And I don't think I don't think I read myself very well,
Hmm.
but it opened things up quite a bit. And from there, then I said, and I just started really looking into the cards. My business was, and I reevaluated everything.
Hmm.
What's really important to me?
Right.
So it's kind of like COVID,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
I think this is a huge shakeup for so many people, and so many people are becoming more aware of their own spiritual journey. And
Right.
I sense so many of us are starting out and going, well, let me dust off those cards again and let me see
Hmm.
where this goes. And so I just started a little earlier than COVID, but it's I'm sure the same journey that we all go on.
Right.
So
Well, and when you started getting back into the cards, was there a specific deck that you always use, or a specific deck that drew you in? And what is it about the cards that really speak to you? Are you a visual person? Do you just like the feel of them? Do you connect with them in some way?
I'm working on the visual part of it. I'm
Hmm.
more auditory. I listen to the rhythms of things, and so I guess that would be it. The deck. So I have my original. I have my original Rider Waite deck.
Hmm.
Oh, it was the moon upside down, so that must mean the sun. But and so that was the first one that got me going. When when I moved up into the Central Coast, I hooked up with this woman who is a channeler, a tarot reader, neo shaman,
Mhm.
and I took this intuition class, and all we did was sit around and talk about possibilities, repeating numbers, don't ignore them. I mean, just it's, and what she offered was, it's okay to have these thoughts going in your head. Don't discount them. Just keep rolling with it. And so that opened me up a whole lot. I got my Mystical Shaman Oracle deck, and that was the deck that kind of really opened it for me. I would say, and my neighbor came over, and he goes, and my wife goes, "Yeah, Danny reads tarot," and I go, "No, shh, don't say anything." And he goes, "Go get your cards. Come on, let's see what we can do."
Uh-huh.
And so I pulled out my shaman deck. I said, "I just got this one." He looks at it and he goes, "Oh, Alberto. He was my roommate in college." And that just kind of went, and it's just all the synchronicities that happen that just goes,
Right.
you can't stop ignoring stuff.
Right.
It may mean nothing, but just run with it and see where that goes. And so that's, from there, it kind of steamrolled to where
And
it is
so,
now.
right. And so when you started your channel, um, how did you decide to do that? Because it's one thing to do it in your living room or to even do it in your neighborhood, but to put yourself
Right.
out there in this way, it takes a lot of, I was scared to death. So how did you decide to do it, or what made you decide to do it? And then what was your experience doing it?
I don't know. I don't know. I
I think
have
all
no
of us kind of
idea.
say that. It's like, just kind of fell into it.
I said, so I was doing a lot of online reading for on one of the websites that had classes and did, gave card meanings and different things along, that had everything to do with tarot and starting a business. And so I said, I'm done with that. I don't want to do these free readings for these people that they just don't. I don't know. It was just weird. I go,
Right.
I'm getting past that, but
Right.
I still want to do some readings. So I just thought that I could do readings on things, and then Trump came around, and I go, I can read on him all
Yeah.
day long. And so it was just a way to put things down so that I could look at it and go back and have a record of what I said. Because I couldn't remember what my card pulls were. So I
Okay.
said, I'll just use YouTube. And me and
The
my
rest is
brother,
history.
looked at it, and then I get a PayPal thing from Scott. I go, who's this guy sending me money? And he goes, I like your channel. He was like my 8th subscriber.
Oh, nice.
And Scott is so generous with that.
Yeah.
He and everybody is. It's Andrea, and Sheila at Celtic Tarot, and the list just goes on and on and on of who has helped this journey on YouTube. And
Right.
it's just not one thing. It's just so many people.
Right.
And now you.
Right.
Thank you.
And now me too. So, and I totally agree with you. It was not, you can't, you could never imagine this kind of journey. It's just been, it's
No.
incredible. It really is. It really is
Yeah.
amazing. And the communities that are built through this stuff is amazing too. You meet the most amazing people.
You meet the most amazing people. You know, the subscribers are awesome. The readers are awesome. And we all have different different strengths and
Mhm.
weaknesses.
Mhm.
And it's you know, you can get lost in it real easy and
Mhm.
get lost in the ego of it.
Mhm.
And for me, that was a big battle. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going, oh crap. And then, you know, 2,000, I go, I don't know what to do with it. I, you know, I have a hard time getting my dog to listen to me.
Right.
You know, I have food, and then he come, no, but you know, so you know, just that many people,
Right.
it's very humbling, and it's you know, sometimes it can mess with your head a little bit too. So you know, I got a little scared, but I'm better now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Maybe.
and well, that's what I was gonna say was that, you know, because I'd said, you know, to me, you seem so humble, and I said that you can see it a lot when you read collaboratively. Not and the people, you know, the people that I watch that do collaborations are that way. But can you talk a little bit about um, what your what your strategy is going in when you read with people? Is it really just to, because I when I read with other people, I am so curious. I just want to learn. That's why I started doing interviews, because I'm just so
Right.
curious about people and what their journey is. And so that's always my thing, is I go in and think I want to learn as much as possible. You know,
Right.
that's what I want to
Yeah.
do. While I'm here talking to this person or reading with this person, I want to just take it in. What is
Yeah.
your strategy for working with other readers?
Not fall off the chair and stay in the frame. It's so I'm pretty good with reading by myself because you know I'll ask the questions and I'll figure out the answer.
Right.
As soon as you get somebody else in there, another person in there, then it gets to be instead of your reading, it gets to be our reading. And so with two people, it's our vision. And so I go, and I'm still figuring this out a
Right.
lot. As so when I prepare, you know, I just want to give the best information possible,
Mhm.
and allow my words to be heard in the proper light with the proper meaning, because there's so many times that you know your words get misconstrued, and especially because my filter is so limited and thin. I'll throw something out and it can be really misconstrued, and I don't mean it. You know, I always want love and light and happiness.
Mhm.
um, but there is, yeah, I mean, we can joke about certain things, but
Mhm.
some people will take it wrong. And so I'm always going in there, please take it right. Don't
Right.
misunderstand me. Just be, you know, with the intent that it's all good. And I'm not trying to hurt anybody or anything. And when it gets into 3, 4, and when we met was 6,
Mhm.
it was like, I
Yeah.
mean, it was it, you know, the more people you get, and in that particular reading, I just said, you know, I'm just sitting back. I kind of let it go a lot, and it
Mhm.
worked out fairly well, because I just said, doesn't matter, just do whatever you can do,
Right.
and and that's it. And that that was a big one. I mean, we tell ourselves that all the time,
Right.
and I always forget it. I
Mhm.
always forget it. So it's, we just do what we can do. We add what we can add, and
Mhm.
and
And that's it.
I think a lot of my next path with this is to listen more with the collaborations.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
because you're throwing cards, you're looking at the chats, the lives. I mean,
Right,
there's
right.
so much going on.
Yeah.
So, I'm really trying to get simpler and listen,
Mhm.
and it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good at it. I mean, I think you're really good at collaborating. So that's
Oh,
the
thank
main
you.
thing. So, and I also want to talk to you about the fact that something that I really like about your readings is um, something that you don't always see in spiritual um, settings, which is having a sense of humor, laughing at what you're doing, laughing at the absurdity of it. Sometimes, with the things that come out of the cards, and I think to me, I feel like laughing and a sense of humor and that sense of joy is very in line with spirit for
Yeah.
my experiences with it.
Right.
Some people, though, are kind of like, it needs to be solemn, it needs to be quiet, needs
Yes.
to be needs to be reverence around it. And I think I think you toe the line really, really well, Danny, because I feel like you have fun with it and you're laughing, but you're never disrespectful. You're always very respectful of the process and what's happening. But sometimes a card will come up or something will happen and
Yeah.
you'll throw out a pop culture reference, and it's funny and it's fun. And I think, what can you say about that? I mean, obviously it's part of your personality, but how do you feel that way too? Like it is in line with spirit when you're joyful and kind of up and laughing and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do. And there is a line. I mean, I got into a lot of trouble with that, with the classes. We were talking about, the telekinesis and grabbing a picture.
Mhm.
And I might have been a little irreverent in that
Mhm.
class and kind of making fun,
Mhm.
and which is maybe why I don't I stopped doing it, because they said don't come back.
Oh, okay. Well, you crossed the
Well,
line.
they did, yeah. They didn't really say don't come back, um, but yeah, there is a fine line, and I do feel that spirit is light, and and can also, I mean, it's just like the cards. You can get the Ace of Wands with the Fred Flintstone card that'll just hammer you, or you can just get this uplifting card, that just takes you soaring. So um,
Right.
they can't. Yeah, they do have a sense of humor. They play jokes on me all the time.
Yeah, I
So
find
I
the same
figure,
thing.
yeah, but I have huge reverence and huge respect for the process.
Mhm.
I try not to just get cards and throw them. I mean, there's always a preparation.
Mhm.
Um, I'm always thanking them for what they give me, what they bring,
Mhm.
and it's just my interpretation. But you got to have that reference in my point of view. So
And, reminds me of, do you know the author Michael Newton? Do you know who that is?
Michael, who?
Michael Newton. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
Okay, so he wrote this book, Journey of Souls. And
Mm-hmm.
basically he's kind of like, you know who Dolores Cannon is, right?
Yes.
Dolores Cannon. So he's kind of like her, where he's a psychiatrist that would hypnotize or use hypnosis to bring people back to the spirit realm between lives. And he's
Hmm.
kind of laid out in his books what happens when we pass away and that whole process of getting to another life. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating
Wow.
book. but there's this whole thing, and in it, and this is why I'm telling you about this, because it reminds me of that book, because so often the when in the spirit realm they would kind of tease each other for getting caught up in the drama of being on earth, that you when you're
Yeah.
here you get caught up in everything, and you get, everything has such importance and such weight, and they kind of tease each other and laugh about it when they're in the spirit realm, because it seems so ridiculous. It's like they were doing a play or something, and
Yeah.
the Matrix, so they're just like, it's so ridiculous, but we all do it. We all get caught up in, and I can't tell
Yes.
you the readings I've had where the message was, lighten up, don't worry about it, stop worrying about
Yeah.
it, let it go,
Right.
don't, those, grievances and little petty fights we have at work, and all of these things we get caught up. But that's what it reminds me of,
Yeah.
is that book that,
Yeah.
it's a great book, and it's such a fun read.
I'm
But
gonna get it. Yeah.
yeah, it's called Journey of Souls, and it's really fascinating. But it reminds me of that, and there is a kind of a lightness and a joy and a sense of fun that comes
Mm-hmm.
across, that you don't think of
Right.
in the spirit realm. But it's like, well, of course they would. I mean, they don't have the kind of weight that we do here. It's a very,
Right.
a
Right.
lot of tough stuff happens on Earth. So, it you understand why we get so serious about things, and why things are so, especially after the last 4 years, you can see why,
Oh my
how
gosh.
so affected by things and how awful it can be. Um, but um, but I
And what are
think
we
that's
going to
also,
do later on when we look back at this 4 years? Are we
uh-huh,
going to, is it going to be, well, how stupid were we? I mean, are we going to be in such a better place that we can look back on this and be light about it? I mean,
right.
I don't know. And at this point in time, I don't think that'll ever happen. But 20 years down the road, yeah, probably still never happen. There's a really tough side to this physical plane, and
That's right.
it's why we're here to figure it out. And I think we each have jobs to do,
Mhm.
and I could never be a Nancy Pelosi or a Chuck Schumer or one of those people that go out there and fight the legal battles. That's not who I am.
Right.
That's not my area of play. And I think they have a lot of fun in that area.
Mhm.
So my area is completely different, and
Right.
it may seem like, oh, it's a pacifistic arena that I'm in, but it's still so valuable in this existence. Allow other people to do the work that they need to do, and give them whatever tools you can give them to do their work on this plane and
Right.
make it easier on them. That's what I
Right.
think.
And I think that it's, also, um, I think through the channels anyway, and particularly through yours, you're kind of offering up a different perspective, a different way to look at things. Sometimes we can get such narrow vision, when we're dealing with things, especially in our own lives, where you can get very narrow in your thinking
Right.
when someone says, "Oh, lighten up. It's okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to be all right." That little bit of information is just like, okay, I can deal with what I'm dealing with now. Just to know that you have
Yeah.
some
Oh,
larger perspective is like, okay, your guides are saying, or the cards are saying, this is going to be okay, this is going to work out,
right.
you just
Yeah.
have to breathe and get through it. That can be everything at that moment. That can feel like,
Yeah.
okay, that sounds great. I mean, I've had readings like that from people where I just think, oh my gosh, thank goodness, okay, I can kind of let that, not let it weigh on me so heavily.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's, you know, I mean, it's nothing intentional when I'm doing that.
Mhm.
Um, some people go, "Oh, you're like the Mr. Rogers of tarot," and I'm like, "Oh, don't no, I'm
Pretty
not."
cardigans.
Oh, um, but it's not me to judge me. So
Right,
I whatever, and I'm not taking that as a judgment, but
right.
it's whatever you get out of it. And in my personal tarot readings, I've never really thought of myself as a predictive tarot reader.
Uh-huh.
Um, I like to be, just had a hummingbird come out and say hi to us.
Aw.
So one of
Hello,
the things
hummingbird.
when and it's really windy, really, I don't even know how that bird is flying.
Oh, wow.
Um, it's crazy
That's
today.
windy here
But
too.
anyway,
Yeah.
I'm more of, I like to think of myself more as somebody who uh, offers possibilities of what the cards showed, so that
Mhm.
it empowers more than just lets people go, oh, the cards are saying this, I got to follow this path.
Mhm.
No, we get to make our own decision.
Mhm.
And that's, so I really, when I first started, reading tarot, it was all about empowering people,
Mhm.
um, versus telling them that they're going to get married in 3 months.
Right.
All right. So, well, what kind of person do you want to get married to? I just want to get married. Okay. But, that could be disastrous. So,
Right. And some people are very, because we talk a lot about free will on my channel. I talk about it all the time. And I think sometimes people love that idea that we have full control, but then other people are like, but no, it's too
just
hard to
tell
be
me.
in control all the time. I don't want, or I want to know everything's gonna be all right if I make this decision. And really all we can do is kind of like you said, look at possibilities.
Right.
And you can look at the most likely possibility, but that's really, that's it,
Right. Right. And you can say, well, if you go down this path, you may like the Tower card, you may like
Uh-huh.
the Devil card and the
Uh-huh.
addiction qualities with that, and you may like moving on later on down the road. But if you take this other path with the sun shining,
Mhm.
and the Lover's card, I don't know, which direction would you rather go in?
Right,
You
exactly,
know, they
exactly.
get to
And
pick that, and
there's a choice, exactly.
yeah,
Well, so Danny, I would just want to see if you want to read on something with me. I thought this would be fun. Just one
yeah.
question that I have a viewer asked me, and I thought it would be perfect to read with you on. And she would like to know what was in the letter that Donald Trump left
Oh,
for Biden. So I said, okay, let's see what we come up with. So I thought that
all
would be a
right.
perfect one for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, but wait a minute. So I have a question for you,
Oh.
because you scribble, draw
Mm-hmm.
on a piece of paper,
Uh-huh.
and that opens you up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
See,
do.
look at that. I saw that. I got a copy of one of those.
Do you
I drew one of those today, as a matter of fact,
like this?
just like that. No, no, I'm kidding.
Like what?
All right. So
Don't freak me out.
do you have a, I know. Do you have a special pen that you use for certain questions?
Not for certain questions, but for sometimes I'll change for people. Some people I'll talk to, and my daughter, I didn't even realize really I was doing that, but my daughter was like, "It's weird how you like change pens for different calls." And she's like, "Do you think you're picking up like an aura or something, or their personality, something about their personality or
Yeah.
something?" So, but so for people, a lot of times if I'm reading for individuals, I'll pick up different
Right.
colors.
And what about notebooks? Do you have different notebooks for different, or is it just
No,
one?
I just have one
Okay.
notebook that I just go page by
So,
page and just go through.
yeah, and the reason I'm asking is because I'm looking at my cards here to
Uh-huh.
try to see what card deck I
Oh,
want to
okay.
use for this.
Oh,
Because different cards have different meanings. Now, this is this is my new word deck. I have been called to this deck all morning, and this is the Brady Tarot. and it's got a little shamanic type feel to it. It's real cool. It's
Oh,
got
wow.
cool artwork to it. So let's just see. The other deck that I would use for something like this would be the Wild Unknown, where it's really more intuitive. So if I use the Rider-Waite deck, I know those card meanings. I've forgotten a lot, but I mean, I know the meanings of the cards, where these so much, I don't. So I'll just get an image and see where that goes. What was in the letter?
So the first thing I have are accomplishments. I just heard accomplishments, touting accomplishments. So he, true to character, saying I did this, I did that, but also luck. He wished him luck. And he told him like he was a good, you fought a good fight, something like that. You fought well, something. To me, it feels very much like we're both manly men, and you're,
Yeah.
that kind of vibe. We're both hard fighters and blah, blah, blah. So that's what I've got. And I'm sure he ended it with his scribble signature.
Interesting. Yeah, right. With his big Sharpie.
Yeah.
You don't use a big fat Sharpie
in
when
Sharpie.
you're doing this. Yeah. So I did something different with this. I pulled, I thought, 6 cards. I got 7. And it wasn't just off the top like I normally do, but it was kind of like a tarot apprentice type thing, where he spreads them out and he just grabs the cards out. So I did that. The very beginning of the card, the very center, I got the Emperor, which I thought, who's the Emperor? Is it Donald? Is it Joe? But it's one emperor to the other.
Oh, okay.
And then I got Temperance, bringing balance to that position, which you never think of Trump bringing balance to it. But here's a tree, and it's next to water, which, I looked at it at first, I said, it's kind of swampy, and there's 2 snakes crawling up it. So that's kind of like the camaraderie that I'm getting between the 2 emperors. I was the emperor, now you're the emperor. At the base, we get the strong foundation of a new day. In the past, I got departure. Bye-bye, Donnie. And at the top, I got the Empress reversed, which is a little bit, just a little bit about I'm getting the Russian influences that's going to be kind of there, and also looking forward. So I also got the camaraderie of the office. Yeah, and good luck moving on. I'm moving away. I'm going forward. So are you. And that extra card was the Son of Feathers. And I think this is just, it's taking off in the night almost. And so I don't know I'm not quite sure if Donald Trump is still going to leave in the middle of the night somewhere. But so yeah, that's kind of what I got, was what was in the letter. Just the camaraderie of them, along with you know, I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
You know, with this Empress reversed card. So
it's that typical thing that he does that is like, he has to repair his own ego all the time. So the snakes, the card with the snakes, it is like, you're a winner and I'm a winner too. And I won also. Yeah. I won last time. Now you won this time. It's like we're equal. So that balance, that like we're equals, even though even though you mop the floor with me, we're not going to mention that. But it's like I have all these accomplishments. Good luck with your thing, whatever you're going to do. It's that kind of like, I'm good. Even though I lost, I'm still good. That kind of stuff he always does.
Exactly. And I really like this one. It's a sloth, and there's an arrow into the tree at the top, and the sloth is looking at where it came from. So this arrow came out of the blue, and the sloth probably turned its head really slowly to see what direction that came in. So there's something coming for, we were talking about the letter that Donald wrote. There's something coming that he's turning his head too slow around to see. And maybe there's he's trying to repair something that's going to be coming at him in this letter.
Interesting.
I don't.
Well, and then you also had the Russian element there. You had something about Russia there, which I thought, well, he mentioned Russia in the letter, but maybe it was a reference to I don't know. Maybe he would have mentioned him. I don't. Leave Pootie alone.
And what's that?
Leave Pootie alone.
Yeah,
like that.
Oh my gosh. And this deck has such great stuff in it. And so when I said the Russian thing, that was more from other decks and other Empress cards. But when you look at this, you can get a whole bunch of different meanings. The love affair between Pootie and him, with these two rabbits in the background. But there's this strength in this mother with her baby down here that you don't want to mess with this Empress. Right. So I'm not sure what that means with this. I'd have to think on that a little bit. But these cards are so fascinating. I think I got enough out of
really
what
cool.
That letter is.
Well, I'll throw it to my viewers. I have so many, and yours too, because I know that I have lots of intuitives that watch the channel, and they always have really interesting takes on things. Because sometimes I'll get something and I'll think, I think it means this, and they'll say, no, it means this. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Right.
So we'll throw it to them. Maybe they'll know what the Russian card means or what the Empress card means. So
yeah, and I love that too. Because it is a collaborative, and the community does add so much, and the comments add so much, and I learned from them as well as learning from you and other readers. And I cannot believe how exciting this journey is. It's mind blowing.
It is. So. It's this. I feel the same, and I think even even as a subscriber, because I'm a subscriber to lots of different channels, and I just think it's so fun, the different things people are doing, and I think we talked a little bit before we came on about how this, when you get on this journey, it's not, you don't just find one thing. you kind of start with one thing and then it kind of expands.
Yeah.
Starting with the cards, and then you're kind of expanding your, your, what comes into your ether, what comes into, your environment because of what you're
Right.
involved in.
Right. And it just, it started out with me, um, pulling a card or two on that really horrible situation I was in and getting it bigger. And then it just shifted into learning about and studying the shamanic cultures. And it's going into another direction as well with um, with channeling and all this. So it's just not one thing, but it's just opening up. And one of the keys for me, I don't know if I said this, was just giving myself permission to access it, tap into it, give it a name, talk to it, just give myself that permission. And
Right.
somebody else had to say, Danny, it's okay to do that. And I go, really? Yeah. Okay. And I've been trying to give myself permission ever since. So
That's great. And I think that's great advice because it is a journey. It's an expansion. It's it's not just one thing, it's many things. And to give yourself permission to take on new things and try them. And usually what you are kind of drawn to, you're going to be good at eventually. You're going to figure it out. And there's something calling you to it if you feel that pull to it. So I think that's really good advice, I think. So Danny, where can people find you if they want to see your channel, if they want to, whatever, send you an email, if they want to get a reading, what do they have to do?
So my channel is Bathrobe Tarot. Very serious.
It's a very serious channel.
I'm like, really? Bathrobe Tarot? Because there was only 2 people watching my channel. I didn't think that, I should have a serious name. So Bathrobe Tarot, Danny Shea, on YouTube. My email is in there. It's Shea's, what is it? I forget. Shea's Fools Tarot.
Okay.
I think at Gmail.
We'll put it in
and it's on my channel too. So.
Okay. And you do private readings, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just so people know, and we'll put all the information in the description so people can find you.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Danny. This was so much fun. I really enjoyed chatting with you. And
thank you.
Thanks for talking about your journey and everything. I think it will help a lot of people on their journey. I think that we're, like you said, COVID has kind of, pushed us all into unknown territory in a lot of different ways. So
yes. Yeah. Along with our political environment too. I mean, it's been a huge shock. And it's just like, okay, well, I can deal with COVID. Okay. Then you get the political thing. Boom. Okay. I can't deal with both of them,
Right.
So the stress, it's a major kick in the butt for us to open up here. So.
Absolutely.
And Kim, thank you so much for inviting me.
You're so welcome. Anytime. Come back anytime.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow is good. Tomorrow would be great.
Awesome.
Why not? Okay. All right. Thanks, Danny. And bye, everybody.